So, as I've mentioned time and again, one of my favorite parts of Bill Richardson as a candidate is his extensive foreign policy experience, his experience negotiating in places all over the world. Uh, and in particular, I really admire his policy as outlined in a speech to the Council on Foreign Relations on June 27th of this year on Iran, on his Iran policy. Um, and I really admire his forthcomingness about what he will do precisely in terms of engaging Iran and working to make sure Iran does not uh, achieve nuclear weapons, and his very detailed strategy on as to how to do that. So, first of all, the first thing he says, which is crucial to me as a supporter, is that he would engage Iran with no preconditions whatsoever. He would talk with them, hold bilateral talks. I think that's extremely important as a first step. Iran has basically been sidelined by the U.S. and they've been negotiating with Europe. They haven't been making that much progress. Iran wants to talk with the U.S., but more importantly, we need to want to talk to Iran. We need to understand that this negotiation process has to start somewhere. And Bill Richardson's very firm believer in diplomacy and negotiation, and so that comes through in his Iran policy. The next thing that I like about hearing Bill Richardson speak about Iran is that he understands the history, and he puts that right in the beginning of his speeches. He doesn't wait and sort of pretend that Iran is this evil, terrible place and that the U.S. has never made any mistakes. No, he mentions that. The first thing, one of the first things he gets into is our support for the Shah back in the 50s with the British, all the pain that caused the Iranian people. Since then, how that's sort of changed into a situation where we have a government that we're not friendly with at all, and how both sides have made mistakes in the past. So that's extremely important to me. Also, he speaks about how Iran can help us with Iraq, how we actually align with a lot of other countries in the region in terms of not wanting Iran to spread its influence so powerfully, how we need to engage with other countries and Iran to discuss this. So, in short, I think that Bill Richardson will prioritize Iran in a way that the current administration obviously hasn't, and other candidates may not. I think he'll recognize what Iranian people actually want, what the structure of the government is, and the politics there, and I think he'll actually make a lot of progress in our Middle East policy that way.
Do you think that it's possible, though, to effectively negotiate with Iran while we're still in Iraq?
It's like you're tossing me a curveball or a whatever it is, an easy pitch, but basically
A meatball?
Yeah, I suppose. Look, the first thing Richardson's going to do is get us out of Iraq as quickly as possible, and that allows us to prioritize diplomacy like this, engagement with other countries. But I want to answer that in a different way. It's not really about whether we can engage with Iran while we're in this situation in Iraq. The point is that we have to. We need Iran. We need to engage with Iran in order to move forward in Iraq. Okay, Iran shares many goals with us in Iraq. We were constantly told about how Iran is funding terrorists. Yes, they are funding certain segments of the fighters in Iraq, but Iraq is a very complicated civil war with a number of actors, and Iran is interested in stability. They don't want an unstable Iraq. We don't want an unstable Iraq. So we need to work with them and find our mutual interests. Yes, we have many disagreements, but I believe that Richardson knows where the points of agreements are, knows how to negotiate based on those.
But do you think? I feel like most of the hoopla surrounding Iran has to do with nuclear programs.
Right.
Now, there are some that say, we need to take out these nuclear facilities at all costs. There's some that say, let Iran have nukes. Parity is a beautiful thing in the world. So where do you necessarily see Richardson on these issues? Do you think that working with Iran is primarily focused around sort of ending nuclear programs, or making sure that they are at least conducted in sort of a civil manner?
Well, first of all, Richardson, and I agree with him on this, says that Iran absolutely must not have nuclear weapons. We need to make that has to be our policy, our international policy. We non-proliferation is absolutely our policy. So Iran must not get nuclear weapons. That said, Iran does have a right under the non-proliferation treaty to pursue civilian nuclear capabilities. Okay, and they've made that a very big issue in the domestic politics of Iran. The Iranian people are very passionate about their right to that. So
You mean using nuclear
power.
Using nuclear power to
Oh,
do
yeah.
something other than build bombs?
Yeah.
How can we properly engage Iran in diplomatic talks if Richardson's stance is so very much anti them building nuclear weapons? Let's let it be known. Ahmadinejad has said that beyond just nuclear capabilities, for civilian purposes, wants to have nuclear weapons. So, how do we reconcile with that? How we can possibly negotiate with Iran if that's going to be their policy?
This is the whole idea of negotiations, in my opinion. We have differences, and we have a clear policy. Okay, we don't go to Iran and say, well, we have this policy of non-proliferation, but let's talk about that. But that's open. No, that's not open. That's not open for sort of a change in our policy. But we go to them and we say, but we have things we can offer you. We have alternatives. And if we can't come to an agreement, I'm not going to rule that out as a possibility. But guess what? If we don't recognize the similarities and the overlap in our goals, we definitely won't reach an agreement. Okay, so I think that we share a lot of goals. I don't think Iran needs nuclear weapons. I think they probably recognize that. Ahmadinejad is going to, of course, he's going to come out and say a lot of things to sort of make that his bargaining stance. That's not the issue here. But we have to start that process of negotiation. And what I like about Richardson is that he recognizes what Iran needs and wants. He recognizes the political situation, and best of all, he's an experienced negotiator and knows how to deal with this.
Great.